Live your life, boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Conspiracy Farm, where we don't start the conspiracies, we just add the water. And now, your host of the most state-of-the-art, most informed podcast on the interweb, I present to you Pat Miletich and Jeffrey Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for war?
Yeah, rear naked choke of Cocker Spaniel, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
Change the neighborhood up.
Conspiracy Farm. Go. Check it out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, back at you once again. The early bird getting the worm. We're up early here knocking out this episode today of the Conspiracy Farm. As always, Jeffrey Wilson riding shotgun with my partner in crime, UFC Hall of Famer Pat. How we doing this morning, brother?
Hey, I'm doing all right, Jeff, and I'm excited to talk to our good friend,
as always,
from Chemical Free Body.
Tim James. He is the CEO, the El Jefe over at Chemical Free Body. Timothy, how we doing this fine morning over there on the left coast?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic, my friends. Doing fantastic.
Well, always good to get you on, bro, and get the debrief on what you're doing to keep busy. Obviously, you got your own podcast, and tell us how that's been going.
It's been going pretty good. We've banged out, I think, 11 episodes. We release every Monday. We're getting really good response, and every new release, there's more listeners, so that's really cool.
Without a doubt.
Really cool. So we appreciate everybody that's tuned in to the Health Hero Show so far.
Yeah, it was cool seeing you on Sam Tripoli's podcast. Shout out to my boy Sam, who was yesterday taken off the Twitters and his page deleted because, that's what they like to do. But,
wait a minute, Sam was deleted altogether?
Yeah, his personal page was deleted off Twitter.
Yesterday?
Yep.
Oh my God!
I know. But yeah, bro, what else you got going on, bro? I mean, I know you're so active on the Facebook Live, getting everybody out there and just letting them know how to stay healthy, especially now, bro. I mean, we talked about it when we had you on a few weeks ago. Just the right moves to keep your immune system strong. I mean, it sucks because they're locking us down, telling us to wear masks, which is suppressing our respiration and suppressing our immune system and possibly opening us up for more sickness. But what are you doing to stay healthy, bro?
Well, I'm just following my program, but what I'd like to talk about today is I'd like to expose COVID and the realities of it and try to, for those people listening that still might be in fear mode or have people in fear mode, they could share this podcast with them and enlighten them to the reality of what's going on and how deep it goes. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to kind of break down very quickly, what COVID is and the problems, major problems, and then what the solution is so people don't have to live in fear.
Go for it, man. Knock yourself out.
Yep. Tear it up.
Lay it on us.
Awesome. So, you hear these politicians, what they're all talking about is like, we need ventilators. We need more masks. We need more masks. I mean, they're freaking out, and the mainstream media is freaking about masks and ventilators. And then we have, like, if your governor right now, if you guys listening, if your governor is saying that we cannot open until we find a cure, basically meaning a vaccine, then your governor needs to be replaced, okay? Because that governor is either super naive and they have a bunch of morons around them feeding them full of propaganda, or number two, they're really stupid and they need to go. Or number three, they're corrupt, okay?
Yeah,
and it's one of the three. But the results is that the people in that state are going to pay the consequences. So let's just get into it so you guys can see how bass-ackwards the medical establishment is and what's going on here. So number one, yes, COVID exists. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. Yes, people are dying of COVID, but in the reality of it is that it's not even as it spreads very quickly, but the death rates are very, very low. I mean, they said it was going to be like 3.5 to 4.5% of all those infected were going to get it. And like, I remember, Pat, they said like like 2.4 million people in America could die on the scientists' projections. Fear. And you have, even Fox and MSNBC and CNN and ABC News and NBC News are 24/7 fear-mongering. Local news stations, I'm listening to them too, they're 24/7 fear-mongering, and they're really focused on the death count. So I want to get into two critical points today. Number one is ventilators and how they work and what they do when somebody has a respiratory infection and fluid in their lungs. And then number two, the death count. So let's look at number one, which is respiratory infections. And if this doesn't wake people up, I don't know what's going to. So first off, when the hospitals put somebody on a respirator, Okay, they make like 36 or 39,000 bucks. Okay, they get paid a large sum of money to put somebody on one of these ventilators. So mainstream media was yelling at the White House we need ventilators, we need ventilators. You're a terrible president. We need ventilators. But the problem is that we have these things in our lungs called alveoli. And when those alveoli get full of fluid, okay, then that's where the people have the problems, and they have a hard time breathing. People with asthma know what I'm talking about. If you've ever had the wind knocked out of you, you know what I'm talking about. It's freaking scary when you can't breathe, okay? Your lungs are full of fluid. Now, when you take a respirator, which is pressure, and you start putting pressure into an area that's already full of fluid, you're going to basically, layman's terms, blow up your lungs. You're going to kill people, okay? It's ridiculous, okay? Number one, you should never, and you don't need to be a doctor to know this, or a rocket scientist, or a brain surgeon, because most of them don't know. This is simple physics, okay? It's like hydraulics, and this is what's happening. And I tell people, don't take my word for it. Do your homework, okay? And look, on Facebook and on Google and YouTube, nurses and doctors all over the country are shooting videos saying we can't put people on ventilators. It's killing people. 9 times out of 10, you put somebody on a ventilator, it's a freaking death sentence. Okay.
They're financially incentivizing executions.
Exactly. And so we are taking our tax dollars, we Americans, we the people they're taking our tax dollars, our hard-earned money, and they're killing our fellow Americans. And they say it, and the guy's like, we need to protect everybody. We want to protect everybody. We'll give them a vaccine. We'll protect them. We'll put them on ventilators. We want to protect our elderly. We want to protect our kids. They keep telling us this. They don't want to protect shit. Okay. This is planned out. I mean, even if it's not planned out, which it is, look at the results. I mean, people are dying. So the second thing that is really disturbing to me is that then when somebody does die, the hospital gets paid $13,000 to identify that as a COVID death, death. Now, that's bullshit, because when in history has any hospital ever gotten any money for reporting any other type of death, like flu, or somebody died of a cold, or somebody died of fibromyalgia, or somebody died of a brain tumor, maybe they died of chronic lymphocytic leukemia or lymphoma, some type of other disease. It's never happened. Why are they getting paid? Why? Because they want that death count high. And I've listened to a lot of other doctors. There was this wonderful medical doctor that came out of Montana, and I could tell she was a straight shooter. And she just said, hey, look, even when we're like, trying to make an assessment of how people died anyway, we make errors. We don't know exactly always the reason why people die. We make our best guess, and that's what we do. So can you imagine where the money's flowing, where somebody, hospital's like, wow, the guy's got the flu. It's like, boop, corona. Or, here's the other thing to watch out for. If they say, like there was that 27-year-old soccer player, like, oh, the corona is now getting, younger people too. And corona alleged death, or corona related death. Be very careful to the wordings, because this guy died of late stage leukemia. He didn't die of corona, but because he tested positive for a coronavirus, which a lot of people will, because it's been around for a long time, then boop, there's a corona death. So
that's what it says too oftentimes, after testing positive for COVID or due to complications from COVID, but it's never directly related to the actual thing.
COVID related or complications from COVID. It's again propaganda. So we can't believe mainstream media, and we can't believe the death count, because it's skewed by money. And it's human guessing at the same time. So
and even Deborah Birx admitted during that coronavirus task force, in front of the world, she's like, yeah, we just say deaths are attributed to COVID, even though it's not, you know what I mean, heart attacks or whatever. If they test positive for COVID, it's a COVID death. Like, they're not even hiding it.
Got hit by a car, but, he had COVID.
That's literal, dude. There was a kid whose mom was like, yeah, my son was in a car accident, and they said he died of COVID because he tested positive. I mean, it is absolutely absurd. And like Pat said, and like you're saying, how they're financially incentivizing this. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's so manipulative. And here's the problem: is we have good, decent people they don't want to hurt people. Like my mom and dad growing up back home, they don't want to hurt people. They're fear-mongered right now because they're watching the TV. They don't really know how to get on the internet and access things too much. Mm-hmm. So that it's 24/7 in their face, TV commercials and news. It's fear, stay home, stay alive. It's not stay home, save lives. It's stay home and frickin' kill people. Stay home and kill our Constitution. Stay home and destroy your family. Stay home and take away your freedoms. Stay home and you're going to be forced inoculated. Stay home and we're going to turn into a communist or a socialist state, and you're going to get social credit scores, and then you're not going to be able to do anything. right? So I want to get into the solutions of this, but I got to show you that. So first off, again, let's recap. Ventilators don't work. Hashtag ventilators kill. Hashtag ventilators kill. That's where we're at, okay? So anybody that has pneumonia or fluid in their lungs or COVID, if you put them on a ventilator, you are a moron, okay? Or you are uneducated and you're trying to follow standard of care, because a lot of these doctors, it's not their fault, because they're just doing what they're told to do. And if they don't do what they're told to do, they can lose their license. And a lot of times they will if they step outside of what Big Pharma tells them to do. And remember, Big Pharma is writing their textbooks, guys, in the institutions. And they study. Yeah. And how much do doctors, how much does your doctor study immunity? Okay. How come the big heads like Fauci, how come they're talking about boosting immunity? How come the politicians don't know about, how come we're not hearing about immune systems, how boosting the immune system? That's how we heal, because the politicians themselves are sick. They're unhealthy. And I can tell you from somebody that's been in the health field for over 10 years, I was a fat mess. I had all these problems. I healed myself. I became my own doctor, and now I become an advocate for other people and showing them how to heal themselves. And I can tell you just by looking through the TV screen, I can tell the way people set. I can tell from their frequency levels. I can tell by their skin tone whether they're healthy or not. We have these old ass people in Congress that have been there way too long, making decisions and passing laws that affect us real people that are out here trying to live our lives. And they're taking advice from the medical establishment that's in bed with Big Pharma. That's where it is, okay? And if people don't believe it, it's like, look around. You know, we spend $3.3 trillion on this country in healthcare, yet we are ranked like 38th or 48th in the world, depending on the year. And it's like, we are the sickest human beings have ever been. How's the medical system working? It's completely flat broke. It's flat broke. Half of us are dying of heart attacks, half are dying on cancer.
You talk about the First Amendment as well, and this lack of information. It's not even just the politicians. I forget her name, but the CEO of YouTube. She was interviewed, and she's like, "Yeah, we take down videos if they say things like vitamin C can fight COVID, or vitamin C boosts your immune system." Like, it does. But she's like, no, that's a possible strike or a violation of guidelines if videos say something like mentioning vitamin C to boost your immune system. It's just on its face. It's an inversion of reality, man.
Yeah, dude, and it blows my freaking mind too. Because I'll give you an example. I went on my personal page last night and I was ranting like crazy. And somebody from college, here, I'll pull this up. Somebody from my old college said, Tim, instead of propaganda untrue, fear-mongering, right-wing propaganda, which he's obviously not even listening to me because I'm not right-wing. I think we should destroy the Democratic National Party and the Republican National Party. We don't need any of them. We need to get 60 to 70% of these lawyer lobbyists, these corrupt people, out. And what we need people that are good, decent, hardworking people, successful people like Dr. Shiva to rise up and take their positions. And we need good people in there. That's what we need. And then she's like, literally, we were talking about HR Bill 6666. That's what I was talking about last night. And she said, literally, this bill is requesting money for grants to fund contract tracing and testing efforts, which is a reasonable thing for government to implement during a pandemic. So obviously she's already brainwashed because she thinks there's a pandemic. And this, I looked her page up and she was like a medical researcher or something like that. So the brainiacs are the tough ones because they have the egos and it goes against their egos. Yep. And everything they've been taught and what they believe. And she's talking about the infection curve, flat and lowered, and blah, blah, blah. And then telling me that please read the bill and educate myself before I spew hate and fear mongering. I'm like, dude, I'm talking about the truth. I'm like, and she's telling me that I'm part of the problem. No, she's part of the problem.
Well, I mean, that legislation is pretty much citing what the WHO representative said. If we contact traced you back to your home and you're positive, we can remove you from your home. And in Ventura County, if you only have one bathroom, we will take you to alternative housing. Again, it's not hidden. It's not a conspiracy theory. They're saying
no, dude, it's crazy. And she said, why also would you want to fire Fauci? Why are you so hostile towards an epidemiologist who is simply trying to offer his expert opinions and knowledge to inform the protected people? Why are you doing this?
With no conflict of interest at all.
Because I have what's called freedom of speech, and hopefully we'll be able to keep that freedom of speech. And I want freedom of assembly, and I want right to bear arms, and I don't want computer chips in my body. Jesus Christ. I mean, what's wrong with these people?
Yeah, I mean, and there's millions of them, unfortunately, and they are the zombie apocalypse, bro.
So I know you guys are limited on time, so I really so people don't think that I'm completely crazy. And we got to really pay attention to this bill. I mean, 6666, because it allows government workers to forcibly test us in our homes for COVID-19. And this is coming directly out of the state of Washington, their governor. They start everything. And if you don't comply, The U.S. Coast Guard is ready to enforce it. He brought in like a Coast Guard commander, and the Coast Guard commander looked a little fishy. Okay, I get little feelings about people now, and I'm very in tune with that. And just the guy looks a little fishy. He's also somebody on one of the I don't know. He's also like a senator or some shit, like not a senator, but he's an official.
Well, Trump just said yesterday they're going to use active military to facilitate the vaccine when it comes out.
Yeah, that vaccine. We don't need a freaking vaccine. Okay, we already have the solution, and I'm going to go through it right here. It's called your freaking immune system.
Right.
The only answer is building the immune system. Okay, who's this mostly affecting? Elderly people, just like the flu is and just like pneumonia is. If you have a weak immune system, yeah, then you're going to be susceptible and be taken down because you have a weak immune system. If you don't want to die, then build up your immune system. Stop eating sugar. Stop going to bed late. Get up early, move your body, get outside, get sunshine, do what you love, quit the job you hate. But right now you probably can't even work, So immune system, building the immune system is what it's all about, yet most physicians don't have a clue. Now, Western medicine soars when it comes to crisis management, like emergency room situations, car accidents, they're the best. But when it comes to long-term care, and it's terrible. It's like they're completely broken. They hand you a pill. They have no idea about helping you with touch or massage, prayer and love, and herbs and real foods to heal and boost the immune system.
There's no money in that, bro.
Yeah, but here's the good news, okay? Because the frickin' mainstream media leaked out an article here, okay? And this was, where'd it go here? So this came out, this is the Los Angeles Times, and this was May 3rd, guys, May 3rd. And this is really cool. So this is up in Seattle, Washington. And it says, as critically ill elderly patients streamed into his emergency room outside Seattle, Dr. Ryan Paget quickly became to understand how deadly COVID-19 could be. So reminder, here's a medical doctor, and he's treating critically ill elderly patients. So what does it tell you? It's affecting people with weak immune systems. Okay, right. Once again. Now, this is a 6'3", 250-pound former football star that played at Northwestern University in the 1996 Rose Bowl. So this is a pretty tough guy, right? To worry about myself, he said, as a 44-year-old healthy man, I didn't even cross my mind. Here's what happened. He's probably working long hours, day in and day out, and without sleep. That's one of those things to build the immune system. His immune system dropped, and he contracted COVID. That's what happened. So after being admitted to his own hospital with a fever and a cough and difficulty breathing, he was placed on a ventilator, standard of care. 5 days after that, his lungs and kidneys were failing. Oh my God, really? Well, no wonder they're blowing up his freaking lungs. And his heart was in trouble. And his doctor buddies figured he had a day or so to live. And then he says he owes his survival to an elite team of doctors who tried an experimental treatment pioneered in China and used on the sickest of all COVID-19 patients. And literally he said, it's like a movie-like save. It doesn't happen in the real world very often. I was just fortunate recipient of the people who said, we are not done. We are going into an experimental realm to try to save your life. Well, here's what they did, okay? The doctors put him on an immunosuppressant drug, and they also put him on a high-dose vitamin C IV, okay? And then he got better. So wow. Dr. Shiva outlined it in a letter to President Trump. If you want to read the letter, it's www.shiva, S-H-I-V-A, the number 4, Senate.com. That's Shiva4Senate.com. He sent a letter to Dr. Trump. Now, remember, Dr. Shiva is a systems biologist, okay? He's a biological systems expert. He's not left-wing. He's not right-wing. He knows how on a micro level how everything works, okay? And there was 3 or 4 levels of different stages of COVID. And he identified and laid out what food sources and what vitamins to give people in what amounts depending on which stage they're in. And if they were critical, to put them on a high-dose vitamin C IV, and they're fine. So for us to be shutting down car manufacturers and shutting down the entire country for this fake pandemic, for a virus that has a very low kill rate, and then to put our fellow Americans on ventilators and knock them out and kill them, and we have to pay for that, and then hospitals get paid $13,000 for these deaths, is insane. All we need to do is ramp up vitamin C production from the tapioca source. And then, I mean, the hospitals already know how to give IVs. The nurses and the doctors are trained. All we got to do is shoot that over. And then all they also need is whole food vitamin A, whole food vitamin D, and whole food vitamin C, and some zinc. And they could put people on those, and that'll build up their immune systems. That will knock out the virus. And again, for acute patients, we put them on vitamin C IVs. I've been teaching my clients to go on high-dose vitamin C IVs for many things for years. It's like they're talking like this is a modern movie-like save. People, it's an experimental round. Shit, this ain't experimental.
Right.
High-dose vitamin C has been going on forever. Think about it. You guys remember, what scurvy is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is scurvy a disease? No, it's a vitamin C deficiency. All the sailors were getting sick back in the day. So what'd they do? They finally figured it out, and they put lemons and limes on the boat with them. That's why they called the British sailors limeys, because they were eating limes all the time so they didn't get scurvy and die, on these trips. Unfortunately, on the longer trips, the lemons and limes went bad, and it was still killing them. So then they finally realized they could use things like chickpeas or garbanzo beans that were dry, and they could rehydrate them as needed and eat them, and then they could go on longer trips. But so scurvy, is that a disease? No, it's a vitamin C deficiency. COVID, is this a disease? No, it's immune deficiency. You build up your immune system, and your immune system knows how to take this shit. Okay.
Right.
So you guys have any questions about that? And then I also want to talk about herd immunity.
No, yeah, I mean, if it got out how simple it is, then obviously everybody would be fine, and obviously the numbers would continue to not make sense, but then they couldn't implement their freaking global control grid that we're all about to fall into and force vaccines. So I wonder how long they're going to be able to keep this charade up. And yeah, let me ask you, this second wave, I mean, if I hear that one more time, I'm going to freaking vomit, but what are they going to do? Are they going to unleash something else, or are they going to just continue to manufacture the numbers? Because I don't know how long they can keep just bogusly inflating these numbers. I'm thinking they're going to maybe release something else. Or what are your thoughts on the second wave?
Or is COVID-20 in the COVID-19 vaccine?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they might just dump it right in the vaccine. They might. So we don't know, but regardless of whether they release, COVID-20 or COVID-21 or COVID-27 to really start fearing people, because if this doesn't work, believe me, they're not stupid. They've been planning this out for a long time, guys, decade after decade after decade. So what's the solution? The solution is we take a stand right now, because if we don't, we're going to lose our freedoms. That's what it boils down to. And this is the time to wake up, stand up, act, share these videos, share these podcasts, get active. Go find somebody, in your local area that's running for sheriff, that's running for city council, that's running for mayor, that's running for Senate, that's running for Congress, or do it yourself. We need you. If you're a successful business person or successful in relationships or successful in any part of your life, and you're a good, decent person, and you believe in the Constitution, and you're sick and tired of the Democrats, and you're sick and tired of the Republicans, then run for office. Most likely you need to run as a Republican right now, because otherwise you won't be able to get on the ticket and get involved. And then once you get elected, you can switcheroo and just become an independent or whatever we want to call it. We just really need to abolish all of that.
Well, something you mentioned, and I encourage this, and I encourage this even on a good day, ladies and gentlemen, because what they're planning, and already it's happening, it's just so unconstitutional. I suggest everyone go introduce yourself to your local sheriff and find out where they stand on this. Are they going to implement some of these unconstitutional and illegal laws? I mean, it's good to know that. It's good to know who your sheriff is anyway, but I mean, it's really, really helpful in these times to know whose side these guys are on.
Yeah, because if you don't know what they're going to do, then you can, if they're not on your side, then you better be prepared, because they're going to come and knocking, and they're going to, separate you. I mean, over in the UK, over in in Europe, husbands and wives are driving down the road. Cops are pulling them over and separating them and saying, you're too close. You're not 6 feet. Like, what?
That's crazy.
And then if they don't comply, they arrest them. I mean, think about this. That's what's coming to America very soon.
Well, the lady in New York was snatched up in front of her kid because her mask wasn't on all the way, and so she got accosted, I think, going into the subway.
Yeah, dude, it's simple. And here's the deal. If these masks work so well, then why don't we just all wear them and go back to work? And if they don't work, then why are we even wearing them?
But they've even said they don't work, right? They've said, the poor...
Dude, people... It's bullshit. Like all these grocery stores, I go into the grocery stores, people aren't 6 feet away. They're walking by each other and stuff like that. I walked up to this guy, he had a guitar in the pharmaceutical line, getting his drugs, and we started talking. Nice guy. And then at the end, we were like shaking hands, and people were looking at us. And I'm very vocal. I'll start talking in the grocery store, and I start educating them, and people start hearing. And then people behind me are like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. This is bullshit. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of people out there that believe in what we believe, but they're just scared to say anything because they don't want to offend everybody.
Well, you don't want to get snitched on, you know what I mean? And then have somebody come knocking at your door. I mean, the fact that there are even snitch lines is so freaking scary, man.
Yeah, it is. It's spooky. So let's get into herd immunity, because it's pretty important to know there's a concept. There's natural herd immunity versus what's called vaccine herd immunity. And I did a post on this, I don't know, a few days ago. So herd immunity, basically, if we look at the vaccine deal, is that if enough of the population is vaccinated against the disease, then there will not be enough vulnerable individuals to allow the disease to spread. Therefore, it should protect even the unvaccinated population, such as children that are too young to receive the vaccine. So to me, this is like ridiculous. So we vaccinate everybody, but not the kids, because the viruses will know the difference between children and adults and say, oh, we'll just leave the kids alone, and we'll just, and because they're kids. I mean, the thing doesn't even make sense. So natural herd immunity works like this. First off, people need to know that your body right now is composed of 380 trillion viruses. That's how many virus cells you have in your body. You have over 60 trillion bacterial cells in your body, and you have about 6 trillion human cells. So when you look at the human body and its composition, you are mostly viruses, bacteria, and a little bit of
bugs. We're made up of bugs.
Yeah, we're made up of bugs. It's an ecosystem. It's a symbiotic relationship, and that's what it is. And these bacteria and these viruses are actually, these bacteria especially, are part of our immune system. They actually protect us from other bacteria and bugs out there. Now, herd immunity works like this. So we're all together in a herd, and we're touching hands and breathing. And what's happening is these viruses and bacteria are going back together, and we're all getting it. And then our body's natural defense system, like our T cells and our we have B cells, basophils, eosinophils, granulocytes, and white blood cells or leukocytes. These are our immune systems. They're kind of like the Army, the Navy, and the Marines. And when something comes in, they go in and they attack it, or then they, over a couple of days, they'll build up the antibodies, and then all of a sudden now you have a lifetime immunity to whatever that new virus was that came into your body, because your body figured it out and made the solution, and now you have that in your body for the lifetime, and now you're protected. And that's how you protect herd immunity. That's how it works in nature, and it works pretty damn good. Right. So I have an article here where they actually they interviewed a renowned neurosurgeon, Dr. Russell Blaylock. I don't know if you know this guy, but he developed a whole bunch of stuff that's still used today. And I mean, the guy's in brain surgery. He's really, really smart. And he said that here, where's it at here? Blaylock notes that the concept of herd immunity, this was talking about, was first described in people who had already contracted certain diseases such as measles that can only be contracted once. The natural immunity acquired from such infections, Blaylock notes, lasts a lifetime. And when vaccines were first introduced, scientists assumed that they would likewise confer lifetime immunity. The promise has not been borne out, which is why booster shots are now suggested for a wide variety of vaccines. Indeed, vaccine protection only seems to last between 2 to 10 years, Blaylock says. So another pertinent fact is that boosters for these vaccines were introduced only relatively recently. Thus, for more than 70 years, doctors assumed that vaccine-induced immunity lasted a lifetime, and not one got booster shots. That means that the first few generations to receive childhood vaccination likely had no resistance left to those diseases by the time they were adults. If we listen to present-day wisdom, Dr. Blaylock says, we are all at risk of resurgent massive epidemics should the vaccination rate fall below 95%. Yet, we have all lived for at least 30 to 40 years with 50% or less of the population having vaccine protection. That is, herd immunity, as far as vaccine herd immunity, has not existed in this country for many decades, and no resurgent epidemics have occurred. Vaccine-induced herd immunity is a lie to frighten us doctors, public health officials, and other medical personnel, and the public into accepting vaccinations. Then he went on to write, when physicians questioning his reasoning, he replies them with a simple proof. He said, when I was a medical student almost 40 years ago, I was taught that the tetanus vaccine would last a lifetime. Then 30 years after it had been mandated, we discovered that its protection lasted no more than 10 years. Then I asked my doubting physician if he or she had ever had a case of tetanus. Most have not. Then I tell them to look at the yearly data on tetanus infections. No one sees a rise in tetanus cases. The same can be said for measles, mumps, and other childhood infections. It was and still is a myth. Okay. So There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hustle, man.
Well, this is stuff that anyone with common sense knew, right? I mean, we really, truly have to understand this is all about money. It's all about money. It's all about control. It's all about power, from everywhere from immunity, controlling our health, destroying our health, and destroying our lives, destroying our financials. I mean, we're going into a digital quantum monetary system to control us completely. So citizens need to stand up now and fight for their health, fight for their life, and more importantly, their children's freedom tomorrow. Because I would refuse to leave my children with less freedom than I have. And frankly, we make small government quickly.
Yeah, we really need to get government out. The medical system needs a complete overhaul. We have to get the government completely out of our relationship with our own body and our medical professional that we choose. Okay. Now here's the deal. If you want to go get vaccines, knock yourself out. That's your choice. But don't tell me that I have to. Do not force me and come up with this bullshit thing that, if you're not vaccinated, then you're putting me and my children at risk. Okay. If you're saying that, then you've been fooled. Okay, you've been fooled because you are not doing enough research. And again, the problem is we have these egomaniacs that go to school for a long time, and a lot of the doctors and a lot of people and these physicians and stuff like that and medical professionals, their ego gets in the way because they've been trained for so long that all this other stuff is quackery. Well, if it's quackery, then why did that medical professional in the LA Times, his doctors, they followed standard of care. They put him on the ventilator and started killing him. His health went down very quickly. And then what they do, they put him on a high-dose vitamin C IV, and boom, he came back. Did he have a disease, or did he have a deficiency? He had deficiencies. And you can look, for you medical professionals out there that are really smart, just take yourself out of it for a moment, because this could be you. This could be your mother. This could be your father. This could be your children at some point in time. Look at the statistics, and if you really want to question it, go check out Dr. Shiva. He's a systems biologist, and he's an expert on the immune system. Debate him. Study his stuff. He's going live like every day, and he's like educating people. Yeah. Every single day. He's a historian. He's a freaking he's into politics big time. He's into microbiology and systems big time. The guy, nobody's going to win a debate with that guy. They will get educated.
You got a lot of doctors out there, who are just saying this is just nonsense. And on its face, we're just hearing they're lying to inflate the numbers. And we talk about it all the time. The common sense in people just seem to get removed when fear gets involved. When that fear-based conditioning happens, people just stop thinking for themselves. It's really crazy to see. And we bring it up on how, they've literally shut it down. The world's completely different. They haven't fired a shot, and it's been 2 months. And this is global. It's not just the United States. It's crazy.
Well, and people should keep in mind, it wasn't too long ago that humans thought the world was flat, and if people said it was round, they would get stoned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Hey, listen, I just want to post, and Jeff will get a kick out of this. I posted something on Facebook with a picture of Kennedy, and it said, "Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable." That's a quote from John F. Kennedy. Yeah. A lady that I went to school with said, "That's in poor taste." That's the very definition of a sheep. I love her. She's a great gal, but she's just, the poor thing, so naive about what's going on, and so many millions of Americans are. This just really highlights the naivety of the general public.
And the depth of the Stockholm syndrome too, bro. It's mass hypnosis. I'm serious. I'm not an epidemiologist or an expert, but you're seeing so many experts, like Tim said, man, just smelling this like a fart in a car. And, like we've said, man, leading up to this 2020 election, if there is one, they already had this powder keg packed with division. Families not speaking because of politics. Now you add this on top of it. Yeah,
now they're going off on the race stuff. They're highlighting, black guys getting killed and by cops and by those two asshole hillbillies down south who, he apparently stole a hammer off of a construction site.
Yeah. Well, those
he did
divisions
not deserve to get shot. Absolutely,
yeah,
did
those
not
were
deserve-
already
he tried
present
to grab the
divisions.
guy's shotgun.
Well, that wasn't smart for
It's not
sure.
smart.
But yeah, that was already packed in the powder keg. What they've laid on top of it now is COVID real, plandemic or pandemic type shit. And that's a very visceral division, dude. People who, they don't even want to hear it when people are talking about, dude, this is kind of bullshit. Fucking my friend's grandma died. I get it. I get it. Like I was saying last night on the show, over almost 500,000 people die from smoking every year. They're still legal, and on the, no planet was shut down because of that, or flu, or any number of things that people die from each year. That's why it's just like, it so just doesn't make sense. That's why you can the hypnosis is just deep, because none of this makes sense at all. And they're almost saying we're lying to you. We're saying we're inflating the numbers, but yet millions of businesses are gone. Millions of people on. I mean, it's just crazy, bro.
This brings up a good point, because it's like what they do is they like to. It's like I look at like a tennis match. You have the left and the right, and then you got the bouncing ball going back and forth while they're stripping away your freedoms.
Yeah,
right.
It's plandemic versus pandemic, left and right. You're watching it, and they're stripping away your rights.
Yeah.
And then they look at what was the other thing I was thinking about? Shit, it escaped me, but anyway, it's just like they always do stuff to it's like this side and that side. Oh, I was gonna say pro-vaccine, anti-vax.
Yeah.
And again, like I'm not. People think I'm an anti-vaxxer. I'm like, no, I want safe vaccines. If you can actually show me that the vaccine's completely safe and it works, then why wouldn't we use it?
Yeah, we're vaccine
They can't do
safety.
it. They can't
No,
do
they
it.
can't.
And why
No, they
is it
can't.
that no pharmaceutical company can be sued?
Yeah.
Why is that? Like Pat, if your wife goes down to the car dealership and buys a car, she drives off the lot and the car explodes, kills her. Are you going to sue the manufacturer of that car?
Well, of course, and that's the thing. Yeah, taxpayers
You
are the
can't
ones
sue- you can't sue the
in
pharmaceutical if she gets
vaccine
shot.
court since 1984. When we file a lawsuit, if I have a vaccine injured child and I take it to court, I'm suing my fellow citizens. We were just talking
Exactly.
about that last night.
Yeah.
And so citizens need to wake up and say, the pharmaceutical companies are your enemy. They're literally your enemy.
Yeah, literally, they give you a pill by somebody with a stethoscope and a white coat.
Mm-hmm.
It's by law. They've got the laws, and then it lowers your immune system, gives you 37 side effects. You hear take this pill and your problem's gone. And they see somebody dancing with flowers and playing with their grandkids. Then at the end, this could cause bleeding out the ass and increase gambling and suicide and blah blah blah. And people that have blah 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 shouldn't take this because they could have this happen.
Fantasies of jumping off a skyscraper might be induced.
Yeah, it's
well,
pretty insane.
and statistically, that is one of the leading cause of death in the United States, taking your prescribed medicine as prescribed.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. And for people out there that are thinking, well, you guys are crazy and you're part of the problem and you're killing people because COVID's bad and it's real. It's like, okay, really look at you need to understand death statistics. And you also have to look at the bigger picture. If we don't go back to work, it's estimated that, and I've heard of 3 of these already, it's estimated that 800,000 people more than are normally doing are going to commit suicide. 800,000. That figure is 10 times the size of these so-called COVID deaths so far. And then on top of it, the UN report came out a couple weeks ago saying that 30 million people are going to die of starvation in third world countries due to this economic shutdown. And many of these poor children that are going to schools in these third world countries, the best meal they get is at school, and they're not getting it because they can't go to school and they can't learn and they can't even eat. So if you are really a patriot, if you're really somebody that's concerned about human health, if you look at the big picture, if you push COVID, you're pushing mass genocide. That's what you're pushing, mass genocide. Not
Right.
to mention all the people that are not going to be taken care of that might have other communicable diseases in these third world countries that can be very easily handled. Those people are going to be dying too. So the numbers of death is well over 31 million. Well over 31 million if we continue doing this from suicide.
Well, and as you said,
starvation.
Tim, this has been planned for a long time. This is all by design. In fact, I mean, this is a eugenics operation that's been, like you said, planned out for a hot minute. And I know that's a tough pill for people to swallow, but they don't like humans. They don't like us. They want to get rid of a lot of us. And like Pat was saying, this is all about control now, man. They don't need money. They have enough money. It's all about.
I can't even believe it's happening.
I know.
They want them
I
and their
know.
children. They want them and their children to enjoy the earth without us.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. That's how evil these people are. And people, as you said before, and we've talked about many times, that most humans on this planet are so kind-hearted that they can't fathom that the people above us who we have put into power would actually do this to us. Look, our politicians have been compromised by very, very powerful people above them. They have intelligence on them, and they have financial means above them, right? So they're paying them off. And that's what this is about. This is about greed. It's about power. And ultimately, there comes a time when attorneys and lawsuits are no longer needed. We are quickly reaching that point. So Americans better wake up, and they better rise up and just don't take part in any of their programs. None of them. Do not take part. Do not allow them to test you. Do not allow them to vaccinate you, and just simply say no. And there's so many of us. There are so many of us, millions upon millions upon millions of us that refuse to do this, that at some point we have to force them to give up and relinquish power and take it back.
Well, and I was saying last night, we need to start really seeing the writing on the wall like we're talking about, and start creating communities that don't participate, that are off the grid, or whatever you want to call it, local schools, local hospitals, local community gardens, etc. Just communities that are not going to participate with this. Farmers who provide beef. But
does that not make us islands and give up? You know, that's the thing that I'm talking about. I'm talking about educating so many people that they can't do it to us, right? Because if none of us take part in their programs, it simply can't work. It collapses.
Right. That's true. That's true. Well, and they're going to set it up so, yeah, they're going to set it up so, you know, your NBA games or whatever it is now, go back to school. You got to have a mask. You got to have proof of.
Don't take part. Take part.
Exactly.
Right?
But that's
Don't
what I'm.
Take part.
Yeah, I'm with you, bro. I mean, that's.
Don't go to a basketball game. Don't go to a football game. To hell with them. Is a vaccine being injected in your child more than a football game?
Exactly.
You know, come on, guys, let's wake up. We have an army just of college football fans in the South. The South will rise again, right? Remember that saying. We have so many college football fans down south. That's an army, and that's the largest army in the world by itself.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, let's have some optimism here.
No, I'm with it. I'm fucking, blissfully cynical. There is more of us than them, in society. But people, if they're not aware of the problem, they're not going to be, know what they're fighting for. Like I said, to at least have to recognize the depth of this.
That's why we're talking, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think the other thing,
5 years.
We need platforms that are not censored. We need a place where people can rally and communicate. Because what happens is, like right now, I see all these doctors and nurses, and they're speaking out against against these vaccines, but these ventilators, and their feeds go down. They get blocked. Yeah. So they're getting censored. So the narrative never gets out there. The truth never gets out there because it's always being smashed down, and then conspiracy. It's all these old tactics, right versus left, the ping pong going back and forth while they're taking your money out of your back pocket or killing you. So I actually have a doctor right here. I did this post about corrupt politicians and Bill HR 666, and this is a medical doctor I went to school with. She said, yes, I've been concerned about this bill because on how it reads. Currently allows for the government to take action based on a test without provider diagnosis. So a non-medical person can make a diagnosis, then take action on that diagnosis. Yeah. Every medical test I use has a percentage of false positives. And this is a medical doctor. Right. I told her thank you, and then she replied, I also believe that when we, the people, are provided accurate and honest information, generally we will choose to do what's best for our families, community, and country. When partial truth or policy is used to control people, people generally resist and even fight against what is best because freedom is fundamentally more important.
Yeah. It's even scarier, man. People aren't even getting tested. They're just presenting, I have shortness of breath, or I have a cough, and just boom, COVID. Like without even a test, this is happening all over. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, and I've got something to point out here. When Tim pointed out, the medical professional who was put on a ventilator, they almost killed him, and then he was given vitamin C. Here's a case in point. I'm not going to say who it is. Lives in New York. His father was admitted to the hospital, put on a ventilator, and it killed him. My friend did not go to the hospital and sought out a friend who was a doctor who treated him in secrecy with vitamin C IVs, and he came back literally like in a day or two.
Yeah.
So he knew instinctively not to go to the hospital, and he said that right away to me when he messaged me. He said, "Bro, they killed my dad." This is actually going on, folks. This is not a joke. And so you gotta just, look, I'm not being violent by just not taking part. Just don't take part, and the whole system collapses. They can't do it if you don't take part. So everyone that hears this, just don't take part. When they call you, contact tracers call you, hang up on them. When they come to your house, don't answer the door. When they tell you have to get a vaccine, tell them no. Absolutely not, because this is a nightmare, hell on earth scenario that they
and
are
open
creating.
your business back up. Everybody
Absolutely.
open your business back up. Open the doors. Open.
And remove governors like Inslee immediately, bro. Inslee is a lunatic. He is. I can't even imagine how compromised that guy is. I mean, what has that guy done behind closed doors that they have on him? I have no idea. To do that to his citizens, the mayor of Los Angeles, to lock him down for 3 more months. Who knows what that asshole has done behind closed doors?
I don't know. A lot of these people are like, I smell pedophilia.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%,
But either way,
bro.
it doesn't matter what they are, whether they're morons, they're misled, or they're corrupt. Their policies are affecting us and stripping our constitutional rights, and they need to be removed.
Yeah, 100%.
What is it, the store in New Mexico? The guy got a $60,000 fine for opening his business. It's crazy.
Yeah, some lady here. There's a couple. Actually, one of my clients it takes my products. She owns a hair salon. She's opening it back up. She has like 4 or 5 businesses. She's like, I have huge debt payments on mortgage and lease payments, and if I don't open back up, I'm going to lose everything. Another gal, she was on the news. Another gal, she opened up her hair salon and did everything. She was wearing the mask and all this stuff, and they came in and then they arrested her. And then she went to court, and they fined her like $6,000-$7,000. And she said, "I had to do it. I was going to lose my home.
Yeah,
I couldn't take care of my family.
It's just basic survival. They're taking away.
She just wants to cut people's hair and style their hair.
Well, and
wants to make
survive.
them silky smooth.
Yeah, and be able to take care of herself and take care of her kid. I mean,
know
it's
really sad.
It's criminal. It's beyond sad. It's criminal. I mean, it's not even again. When we say land of the free, home of the brave, now we're gonna have to put an asterisk by that motherfucker, dude, because we can't take back this shit that's happened. I mean, how is this not Stasi? How is this not freaking Germany? It's just bad for business. And like we keep saying, just don't participate, you guys. Do not fall for the okey doke, the banana in the tailpipe. Don't let the fear motivate your actions, because that's exactly what they want. Well, speaking of your products, my friends, keeping that immune system strong, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have Green 85 on your shelf, you are slipping on a freshly mopped floor. ChemicalFreeBody.com/farmer. Promo code farmer for discounts on that, as well as Gut Cleanse. A bunch of just awesome products to keep you healthy, ladies and gentlemen. Tim James, love you, brother. It is always a pleasure. Pat, any closing statements for our boy? Questions?
Hey, man, great to see you again, Tim, and great to hear from you. And thank you for joining us in this fight. And everybody out there, all my fellow American citizens, I'm praying for you. I love you, and let's keep up the good fight and do not bend.
Do not. Tim, shout out that podcast again, brother. Where can we find you?
The podcast is the Health Hero Show. That's Health Hero Show. It's on all major platforms, or they can again find it on our website at chemicalfreebody.com and click the podcast link.
He's a beautiful human being doing beautiful work, the Lord's work, ladies and gentlemen. Tim James, chemicalfreebody.com/farmer, promo code farmer for incredible products. Pat, I love you. Timothy, love you guys. Peace and so much love. Stay tuned. There will always be more.